Good morning, GalaxyCon Columbus. How is everybody doing today? Lovely people out here, bright and early on this wonderful Saturday. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Witchy. I am going to be your host for this wonderful next panel. Is it anybody's first day here today? Welcome, newbies. Oh my goodness, so many of you. Those people, is it anybody's first Q&A? So many newbies for Q&As. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you how this is going to go. I am going to bring our wonderful guest out soon, Jaleel White. Some of you might know who that is if you're in this room. I hope so. If you don't, you're in for quite a treat. He's a very, very kind, very well-spoken individual, so you are in for a treat. I'm going to bring him out. I'm going to ask him a few of my own questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to the audience to ask their questions here. There is a microphone over here on the side, shrouded in darkness. But if you would like, you can go ahead and start lining up for your questions. If you want to wait, I understand, a little shy. You don't want to stand up, I get that. But the early bird does get the worm. So if you do have a question you're dying to ask, I would suggest you go ahead and start lining up because we don't always get through our wonderful lines. I have a few rules for my questions. My first rule is no requests. No, Jaleel, I make homemade snickerdoodle cookies, and I brought them here for you to try on camera right here, right now, so I can take a video and post it on Yelp and go viral. No, he cannot do that. My second rule is one question at a time. So to be courteous to the person behind you, please just ask one question at a time. If you have a second question, you're more than welcome to get to the back of the line, and we probably will get to you, but if not, he will be at his booth for the rest of the weekend where you can go and ask your requests and your unanswered questions to your heart's content. And third and most important rule is be kind and have fun. Now please put your hands together for our wonderful guest, Jaleel White. To plug, do you remember?
Yeah.
I like the color blocking.
I think it's Russell Westbrook's brand.
I like it. Well, welcome to Columbus. Is it your first time here?
No, it's not. It's not my first time here. Sometimes I have to pass through here. I spent a lot of time in Ohio actually during that horrible master period in time. A little place called Yellow Springs. Sometimes you gotta fly to Columbus, sometimes you gotta fly to Dayton, sometimes you can fly right to Yellow Springs, but yeah.
Did you fly through it or were you staying out there?
I was staying out there. They were doing some comedy in a cornfield out there. It was pretty cool.
That's exciting. Oh, so the cornfield was kind of the barrier of the masked time.
Exactly.
You can't get COVID at a cornfield.
Exactly. We had to be tested. We were going into a bubble and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a pretty cool ordeal. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, man. So I got good memories go out.
That's awesome. Anybody familiar with the area?
Oh, yes, they are.
Nice. Well, we already have some eager audience members here that want to ask you questions, but I'm just going to ask you a few. This is a very hard question for people that started acting so young, but when was it in your time? Can you tell me about your acting origin story, and when was the moment that you realized, like, this is something that I want to stick with and want to do? Did you ever have that? Did it not apply to you?
No, I mean, so I actually just put out a book last year with Simon Schuster called Growing Up Urkel. And I actually read it myself, so I actually really pushed the audio version of it. I'm like, just ride in your car, I'll read it to you.
Did you do the audio?
Yeah, I did the audio,
awesome.
and I really took it personal, and the recording sessions and whatnot, so I don't recommend to anybody anything that I wouldn't enjoy myself. That's kind of like a rule that I have. So I talk about a lot of this stuff in the book in depth in case any of you are intrigued about the origins of what it is to have jumped in this business in the 1990s, because life was so different.
The internet has changed so much.
Oh, it's changed everything, and we can talk about that. But I got into business when I was 3 years old, and my mom only put me in the business just to make money to go to college. That was it. Around 12 years old, and all 5'4" of me thought I was going to go to the NBA, and I wanted to stop acting, and my mom just instinctively knew that's a mistake. She came with a little rule. She said, anytime you book a job, you can get one of anything. And it was really my dad's rule. And that reinvigorated me like through the roof. And all I wanted was a Sega Genesis. 1989, when it came out in August, and I had, in our family, I couldn't get things like that unless it was my birthday or Christmas. So this job came along that I normally wouldn't have cared about going on audition for, but I just instinctively felt I could get this job. Sure enough, I had braces so much at the time. I was like, I can get this job. So it was no more than a competitive exercise to get that dang Sega Genesis. And I got a lot more than a Sega Genesis.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? And what is crazy is later you ended up voicing Sonic.
Yes.
So a big Sega character, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was my side hustle, as they call it these days. I just got my mom's car, and I got this gig to do Sonic. That turned into something that I never would have even imagined. It was, I wish I could say it was a labor of love. It was really kind of tough at the time, just going back and forth between high school, doing the show, and that. But man, I'm so grateful that I stuck with it, because I just had no idea how well it was going to age.
Were you able to have a social life at that time?
Junior and senior year in high school was tough. It was all just work. And you kind of start to feel like a leaf in the wind. You don't know what group you belong to when you grow up that way. And my curfew matched my shoe size and my grade. So
your mom and dad kept you so grounded, I would say.
My daughter's got a 12:30 curfew now as a junior, and I'm like, you have no idea how much better you have
it. I will go ahead, we can turn it to the audience, and then we can float back and forth. I didn't mean to leave people standing for so long. Go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question.
It's okay.
Hi, I'm Ian, and my question is, what was it like being on Psych?
Oh man, great question. Psych was fantastic. Good friends with Jaleel Hill and James Roday. They had been doing the show for about 4 seasons, and I had no idea that Jaleel had been pitching me in the background. And just the concept was fantastic. They shoot it in Vancouver. There's things that I just kind of live by on the set. If I'm having fun behind the scenes, whatever we film is usually going to translate even better to you guys. And if you thought you saw laughs on the screen, there were so many more behind the scenes.
Great question. Thank you. It's good to have like a set that feels so welcoming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It was like every crew member was like, so you're Jaleel, you're the one Jaleel's been talking about all this time. I'm like,
oh, he's been talking me up.
My boy's been talking me up like this.
Exactly. Hi there.
Hi, good morning. I was going to ask you if you had any cheese, but I'll spare that.
I'm a cheese connoisseur, actually. No, I'm serious. I can get stuck in a cheese shop spending $400-$500, man.
It's crazy how expensive a weird cheese.
Oh,
You
yeah.
would never guess. But it's worth every penny.
So, towards the end of Family Matters, they're all involved in these crazy adventures, like with the American Gladiators, and nuclear bombs out in space. Was there any of those adventures where, like, your idea, like, oh, I got to do this, or was everything pushed on you by the writers and producers?
Again, I look at it with great fondness. Life was different back then. We had Taco Bell commercials with MC Hammer floating down in his pants. It was just, entertainment was so much more surreal in the 90s. I am so very aware how much we jumped the shark, on our show. But the shows that I would generally have more involvement in, I actually wrote a story for 2 episodes in particular. One was the Grandma episode where we had Larry Johnson on. That's my episode. The other one we had New Edition on the show. I call it The Guys Myself. I got my hands, dirty writing that story. I didn't jump the shark too much. Obviously, it's not very believable that Mother Winslow would have a 6'5" dunking grandma friend by today's standards. But back then, man, that was as TGIF as you got. So, I tried to create based on the parameters that existed at the time. When you're going to try to look back at something 30 years, you just can't do that to yourself. Where you're like, what was the zaniest? What was it? No, this all made sense for the audience that we had at the time. Now, blasting Steve out to space, yeah, that's where we really were just jumping that shark.
I believe too that show is the second most longest running show in the 80s, behind The Simpsons, is what I read.
I know we're the second longest running black show of all time.
Made in the 80s specifically.
Okay, because it started in 89.
Yes, so you only have so many storylines that you can get through. You have to get a little fun and campy, I would say.
Yeah, no, one of the producers admitted to me that they used a storyline from Happy Days. They just changed the character names.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great question. Thank you so much.
Hi, so my brother asked which one of the classic Sonic shows was your favorite doing?
Oh gosh, probably Underground. Probably Sonic Underground. Yeah, that's nice and easy. Sonic has become something so big now. You guys have to realize as an IP, an intellectual property, it moves from owner to owner to owner as it gets licensed. So, as I have so much respect for what they've done with it. I mean, with Jim Carrey being aboard now, I think that's amazing. I wish I had gotten a call, to be quite honest. I did not. But I don't take it personally because I just know that is the edict of every producer who gets a hold of something is how can I put my stamp on it. So just to be attached to the legacy, in a kind of a Batmanish way. I guess I'm like the Adam West of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I walked so you could run sort of situation. Yeah, exactly. Hi there.
Well, Adam West is my favorite Batman now.
That's what's up.
So, how much input when you're doing the voice of Sonic? Obviously, it was kind of new ground. How much input? You talk about putting your stamp on things. How much input did you have on the voice versus them saying, "Oh yeah, do this voice"?
You get great direction when you're doing voiceovers. I forget Jenny. I think this was Jenny McSwain directed me for most of those. She's a brilliant voiceover director. I think that's always one of the better abilities I had at a younger age is I could hear very clearly a smart note given to me by a director or producer and apply it in real time. Sometimes you give an actor a note and they go back to the stage and do it exactly the same. It's like, okay, all right, it just ain't going anywhere. And I wasn't that way. So, it was definitely a collaborative process. My voice was already a little bit high pitched, and you just add a little speed to it, and it just kind of comes right out. It's very nuanced, the change.
Okay, great, thank you.
Nah, thanks for asking.
I feel like voice acting has changed so much since that was recorded too. Would you say it was more labor intensive then than now? Can you compare them? Are they very vastly different?
Wow. Sorry. No, it's a layered question because you have more technology now than ever. So.
Do it from your home.
Yeah.
Also, it's not as collaborative, I feel too.
It probably isn't. I know everything is a self-tape, send in now. Can you do this from your home? Can you record it on your phone, send it to us, et cetera, et cetera. Back then, you really were in a booth and you had, an engineer and a director and, maybe somebody who rep from the studio or network or something like that. You had to apply the notes. You had to.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Frank. What
My favorite part of playing Sonic? Sometimes I would get to do 2 and 3 voices at once, which was tough. Yeah, it was like in one of the versions, I remember I would do multiple voices, and I'm like staring at this woman, and she's like, yeah, just try another one on me, try another one on me. So sometimes just doing Sonic, I would pull rabbits out of my head I didn't even know I had. And that's a really cool thing, I think, when you're a young kid anyway, is to have adults that are pushing you, believing in what you believe in yourself. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. A lovely jacket. It's nice.
Thank
That's
you.
what's
I love
up.
this jacket. Hello. Sorry.
How you doing? Tell me your name.
My name is Faith.
Faith,
Nice
that's
to
what's
meet
up.
you. My mom adores your show, The Flip Side.
Ah, thank you.
Watches it every weekday night. So I was curious between live action acting, voice acting, and being a game show host now. What has been your favorite so far?
I mean, it all feeds into each other, you know. I probably wouldn't be a host on The Flip Side if I hadn't had the fond memory of being a host for Total Blackout, which I did for Sci-Fi. We used to put people in pitch black darkness for time challenges. You can probably find it on YouTube someplace. That's like my second favorite gig of all time. I mean, I get to host these people, but then scare the crap out of them.
They're just happy to be there.
Well, until the lights go out. we had a guy cuss us out pretty bad for having to guess the weight of a crocodile, and he didn't know it was a crocodile. I mean, the snout was taped and everything. He doesn't know that in the darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I love Flipside. Flipside is such an awesome gig for the age where I am too. You know, I got a 16-year-old daughter. And I just think that as a father, it's kind of cool to put on a suit and, bring your kid to work for a couple of days. But more importantly, man, people love winning money, right? So it's just I'm just a talking slot machine. I'm going to pay out or I'm not, right? And if you play the game well enough. So we just shot in Atlanta. Tell your mom thank you so much for following the show. I truly do make the show for her. My Flip Side fans, man, you see me in the grocery store or whatever, pull up on me, man. Pull up on me.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hi, my name's Emily, and as a young millennial, we grew up with Big Fat Liar. So my husband and I would love to hear about your experience on set with that.
Big Fat Liar. I talk about Big Fat Liar a lot in growing up urban. It was kind of a challenging shoot, to be very honest. I wasn't their first choice by far. Oh yeah. I try to tell people in this business.
It's so good.
I try to tell people in this business, I'm like, you don't get a good job until a bigger person passed on you. That's generally just the way it works out in our business. But it was actually technically my first feature film. I had never done a feature film, and I had been pining to be in an actual theater movie for the longest. So when Sean Levy met with me at the time, I was like, dude, I get it. Like, I kind of cut him off in the beginning. He thought he was going to have to sell me, and I was like, so this is Home Alone on the back line. And so, we got there and we played around. It was Paul Giamatti's first lead role. Very, very talented guy to act opposite. At that time, the kids were such kids. Frankie and Amanda were just literally zipping around on scooters on the set. And I'm like, you're gonna be me one day. And now I can say it did. And they're kind of just following right behind. But just, I drank for free in Buenos Aires, Argentina, all night because of that movie. The entire kitchen came out of the back. And it was just like, that's just the power of movies, man. So I just love that you guys remember it. It was a fun couple of days shooting it. And I wish they made more movies like that today.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Karen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I am a 90s girl.
That's what's up.
Yes, the best. The kids.
What do you miss most about the 90s?
Everything. Everything.
I gotta narrow down. Give me one thing. Just one thing. You can just have it tomorrow.
Honestly, the shows are not the same anymore. The the shows, the wardrobe, the music. It's just, those little things that, my husband and I just go one by one, talking about like just those one-liners and everything with the 90s was amazing. So I was born in 76.
Okay.
So my kids love seeing you. I had to wait till after school to watch you. They have like free reruns. It's like 24 hours. Like they can just watch Family Matters. My 21-year-old DeMarco is here. He absolutely loves you. So he actually noticed that you actually in Family Matters came on more in the second season.
Yeah.
So was Urkel was he a tryout or?
Oh my gosh, I love that you don't know.
Yes, tell me.
No, I was never a part of the original conceit of the show. I was there to do one guest spot in episode 12. So at the end of the first season, because I was working with veteran producers who knew what they were going to do with me, we spent an entire day shooting teasers. And teasers were the one scene that appears right before the opening titles. And so they replaced probably about 4, 5, 6 maybe teasers from the shows that I wasn't in previously. So there are probably about 5 to 6 episodes of Family Matters that I'm just completely not in. And then they started sneaking me in with these teasers. And through syndication, especially at the beginning, they kind of hook you, and then you think the character's coming back, and it's not coming back for that episode, but they knew they needed to do that for syndication purposes. So that's really how I ended up in the show. So by the time the second season came along, they were actually able to write for the character. In the first season, I got one storyline, because that's all they had time to write on the fly as I joined the cast. And I'll never forget that episode. It was called Laura's Big Date. And I basically tore up a French restaurant. I was a very memorable time, because it was just like, that was when they started to play. I didn't see any power about it at all. I have to shout out Rich Carell. He was the director at the time. I'm still good friends with him to this day. And Rich just used me as a little toy. It's like, all right, you're gonna do this, you're gonna back in front of that, and that's gonna fall over. He just loved creating the human dominoes. I would do all the stuff that he told me to do, and I wouldn't get hurt.
That's great. When we think of Family Matters, we think Urkel. So you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So how does one decide now at that time to make a single episode character reoccurring? Because now it's the social media, right? Was it from test? Do you know? Was it from testing, or was it just a producer being like, "Oh, this character is it"? People writing in. So how can I know what made them bring you on professionally?
Necessity is the mother of invention. The show was not doing very well in the ratings. I didn't know that. I'm 12 years old, and so I don't know what's. I'm only going by what I think is funny. But when they put me on the show, I remember the first episode we did. There was a famous. I talk about this so much. There's a famous fraternity that chanted, "We want the nerd," and "We want Urkel" in between the scenes that I wasn't in. So it was pretty palpable that first night that the audience was, enjoying the character to a whole other degree. So when I went home that weekend thinking that was a one and done, I literally walked to the parking structure with the audience. Like at the end of the show, people were patting me on the back. "You did such a great job," almost like it was a school play, to be quite honest. Not knowing over the weekend that there was a negotiation going on to bring me back. Wasn't much of a negotiation, but it was like, "We will pay him this much." And you will bring him back on Monday. And I went to school on Monday, and I got that note from the office that said, "Get homework for the week."
You're gonna get a lot of Sega Genesis.
Homework for the week. So that's how it happened. And back then, which was interesting, social media just had changed the way we communicate. Back then, it was the water cooler conversation. It was, when I say that, it's people that work the next day. "Did you see this last night on that show?" It's literally somebody pick up their phone, calling somebody, and it was like, "Are you watching this?" Word of mouth was everything back then. So I remember we watched the ratings go up between episodes 12 and 21. They were probably in the top, probably about 90 shows on TV, 100 shows on TV, and we were probably in the 50s and 60s at the beginning. And by the end of the season, over January, we started to knock on the door of the top 20. So to be able to do that on a Friday, when people are supposed to be out technically, that's what was pretty phenomenal about that.
Hi there.
Hi there, my name is Daniel Walters. I'm very much not a 90s kid. I was born in 2005. But growing up, we had a Wii with Netflix on it before we got our Roku. And growing up, I would watch, Sonic, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, the 7 a.m. show, Sonic Underground, the Mario shows. And I was curious. I don't know how common of a knowledge it is, but I wanted to know personally, when they were developing Sonic Generations, they were wanting to reach out to you to voice classic Sonic. What did you feel about that and not being able to do that?
Well, I'm not privy to a lot of these internal corporate talks. What I do know typically is once they license it to somebody, that the producers and that studio is going to have a giant say in who does what. So, in order to get Sonic on the air, I didn't realize this at the time, but the corporate thinking was get the kid from Friday night to do the voice for Sonic because we're going to put it on Saturday morning. I don't know how much audience flow is really created between an 8 o'clock show and an 8 a.m. show, but the corporate guys figured that mattered, and that's really probably how I landed the gig more than anything, is the fact that the first Sonic was on ABC that Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Hutch. Since you played such an iconic character with Steve Urkel, you got to be on Full House. If you could take Urkel on any show, who would you want to interact with or
It's too late, but it would have been nice to have seen a Big Bang concert.
Yeah, and that's honestly kind of what I was thinking of, you and Sheldon.
Yeah, that would. It's obviously time has passed.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of deepfake capability in the future. But
Probably some laws around that.
Well, yes, I agree with you. Hopefully there will be some laws around it, but there are going to be some great technological advances that can be used as tools. In the same way, James Cameron has used technology to make films like Avatar. We can't forget that too. We can't just run in fear. So anytime I get a chance to see a singular performance by somebody at the center of something that will benefit from technology, I'm all for that. But yeah, I think it would have been pretty cool to see Steve Urkel interact with Sheldon Cooper. I know I would have fun with that.
I think
that'd be a good podcast anyway.
I think Sheldon would have been annoyed with Urkel, but also completely respected him too because of his mind and everything. So, awesome, thank you.
Hi there.
We got the real Sonic.
I know. Zoom in.
My name's Renee. I'm here to ask about the Sonic the Hedgehog fan film that you filmed in 2015. What was it like coming back to that world after so long?
You know what? That was, gosh, I forget the director's name. Please forgive me. It's not like I can study for any of your questions. But I just remember he was such a great guy to work with. He was so impassioned. And it just goes to show you too, he put all of himself into that fan film. That was his project. That was him trying to sell himself to the studio. And ultimately, it's like, they appreciate the fandom, but they're gonna make their decisions internally. But I enjoy doing it. I'd like to think that somehow that provided a sample of what audiences wanted more of, and you got it. So we did it in one day, and he had a very clear vision, and I hope that guy continues to get a chance to make more film.
Great question, thank you. Great costume, too.
The costume is kicking, girl. It's kicking.
Hi there.
Hello, my name's Stan.
What's up, Stan?
Would came in a little late because they sent us to the wrong ballroom, I'm about a year. But I don't know if you mentioned last week, I think it was your birthday and you turned 49. So.
Yes, it is.
Happy
So,
belated.
happy belated. Approaching next year being that halfway to 100 mark, is there anything, how you're focusing on that, or is it just a number? Or,
It's just a number.
You turned 49, so yeah, next year you'll be 50.
I feel like I'm in great shape. Been making some life choices I'm proud of, so yeah, it really is just a number.
Just a number. All right, well, thanks for being here.
Now, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
the birthday wish, though.
Hi there.
It's Ian again, right?
Yes. If you could voice any other animated character, who would it be?
I'd say Marvin Martian. I'm pretty obscure in my taste, so you would be shocked with what I like. I'd say Marvin Martian.
The helmet, it's
No,
so cute,
right?
iconic.
It sucks, man. I feel like the Looney Tunes have died before our eyes. Like, we don't get it. It's unfortunately by broadcast standard practices. For many years, for decades, the Looney Tunes were considered too violent for TV. So, you know, if it was made back then, it was considered classic, but they wouldn't make anything new that was that violent. You know, animals falling on people's heads and whatever. It just sucks, man. 'Cause it's like that's what animation is all about. That level of zaniness, though, but yeah, that goofiness. So I don't know if we're ever gonna see that again, to be quite honest.
I read it yesterday because Looney Tunes is Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
right? I think Netflix just acquired them yesterday.
Yeah.
So maybe Netflix will make a new Looney Tunes. Get on your social medias, Marvin Martian, right here. When they reboot the series, got him on stage. Hi there.
Hello, Mr. White. I'm just a couple years younger than you, so I was the perfect age when Family Matters, sort of zeitgeist or whatever, and even about the serial life sure at one point. And so my question is sort of based on my experience with the series growing up, being your age, probably as a teenager, is and predominantly white community. That show was on, and there was also other shows like 227 and Martin Lawrence had a show, Martin and Ellen. And this is not the negative, but those kind of shows. I remember in my family community, you know, some of those shows they were black shows. We watched them, but there was a perception that was the primary audience. While with Family Matters, my recollection, it wasn't seen as a black show. Like Steve Urkel was a nerd, but he wasn't a black nerd. Like none of my friends ever referred to the races of the characters or ever really thought about it in that way, but there were other programs where that was the case. So I just was curious if you would, maybe you've heard that before, if you could comment on that phenomenon of the...
You know, I definitely have heard that before, but I think that's more attributed to the fact that we were on TGI. You know, TGI had very specific creative mandates and parameters, what we could do and what we couldn't do. So, you know, I still feel like we represent black imagery on television. I always like to make it clear to everybody that every representation we needed back then, whether if it was Martin, whether if it was me, you know, Will Smith, Living Single, we needed it all because you were aware of some of those other shows, but you weren't watching them. You happened to catch up.
No, we watched those shows, but the feeling was they were targeted to a black audience.
Oh no, definitely. You're walking me into deep waters. You're walking me into deep waters that I don't like to go into. Yes, no. There's two kinds of shows that have minority casts in general. You know, one that is targeted towards that audience, and one where the cast just happens to be individuals of color or somebody from a particular race. And that is a conscious decision on the studio network side that I have nothing to do with. And more importantly, when you were an actor, you did not get to choose which you got a chance to be a part of. You know, that's the thing that I really like to make sure that audiences understand about what it is to act. You know, I told you earlier, I was like, the best opportunities usually come when somebody bigger than you passed or wasn't available. You know, you got to stop looking at acting a little bit from the standpoint of doing what you want to do. That's not acting. You are a servant to the story. You are a servant to the studio. You are a servant to the producers that have, you can say you're basically your number one power as an actor is to say no thank you. And if you're a working actor, you try not to say that too much.
Based on our time, we only have 8 minutes left, so hopefully we can get through all of you, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut the line, so the questions that we have are gonna be our last questions. So go right ahead.
All right, hi Jaleel. I just want to know, what was it like getting to destroy the set of Family Matters every week? And I love you as both Urkel and Sonic, so I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much. Listen, I do miss being a kid, an adolescent on a major movie studio. We got into a lot of hijinks on those sets, playing in the catwalks and sitting around in golf carts and scooters and whatnot, playing basketball with George Clooney are some pretty fond memories that I have. So, you miss it, but life moves on. I'm very much a dad now. I don't play nearly as much basketball as I did before, but I think the thing I miss most though is I missed how present we were. Because of these phones now, you are someplace, but you're someplace else. And there were no phones on the set when we were shooting this stuff. It was probably me just dribbling my basketball to no end, sneaking sugar when my mom wasn't looking, and just very, very present. And I also think being present like that is important to, discovering comedy and making material better, quite frankly. Sometimes I wouldn't find my best bit until Wednesday or Thursday of rehearsals. It doesn't all just come to you like a TikTok. Sometimes you gotta sleep on it. You wake up with a good idea on Wednesday or Thursday, and it's gonna fit really nice into your tape.
Write it down in a little book.
All right, thank you. And also, can I have a high five? I saw people doing this at the
Absolutely, I give you a high five.
Cherry Traeger Q&A.
Yeah, high five. There you go.
Because he was so nice, my no request rule, I will not stop him this time. But that was the only high five. I'll be the villain on this stage. Hi there, go right ahead.
I just want to say you are like a pioneer of our childhood. I was just born in '89, so I understand. And then the question that this lady just asked, whether being a child back in the '90s was more like, I miss being the child where, I can't believe we're talking.
It's okay.
I'm gonna get to my question. What was it like playing My Friend Martin?
What was it?
Were you in My Friend Martin?
Oh yeah, right. I had to do the voice of Martin Luther King. That was actually really cool, man. I remember I got a chance to, I think Ashley Judd participated in that. I got a chance to meet her as well. That's one of those things again, this guy Andy Hayward who owned Deke, he was the one who put out Sonic. He was always a fan of mine, and he would think about me for different projects. And once again, when somebody thinks more of you than you think of yourself, it's like, all right, get in the booth and be Martin Luther King. It's like, okay, let me see what I got for you. Can you make him younger? Can you make him older? And I just get in there and kind of just do my thing. So anytime you get a chance to be associated with, a complete legend of our times, oh my gosh, following the civil rights movement, those are the things that are going to stick. So, yes, just hearing you bring that up, that's pretty cool.
Of course, bro. And, I want to say again, thank you. I'm over here shaking like that. But I appreciate you helping us with our childhood that you are.
I feel that, bro. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Becca. I have a question. How hard was it for you when they decided to bring on the second character, Esteban Urkel? Was that hard to go between the two?
It was only tough in terms of workload. You would be in a scene completely by yourself at times. We shot a few scenes where it would just be me talking to myself. So you go change, And again, technology wasn't what it was back then, so I did it with a stand-in, but you had to know they just doubled the dialogue. And you're acting opposite yourself, so you're kind of trying to remember little nuanced things that you did in the other performance that you can react to. You know, much of acting is reacting, quite frankly. That's where I tend to judge an actor is, you know, what are you doing in the gaps when you're not talking? Are you waiting to talk, or are you truly conveying what that character is feeling in that moment? So doing that opposite yourself is a very tricky challenge, especially when you're taking SATs and going to normal school and, you know, just distracted by what it is to be an adolescent growing up.
Great question. Our last guy, no pressure.
I like the t-shirt, though. That's a good start.
Thank you. My name is DeMarco Bedine.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Steve Urkel.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. My question is, in season 5, or the end of season 5, when you went out with Laura, how do you change your voice in the restaurant? And, like, how do you do that?
How did I change my voice?
Yeah, like I did Stefan and then go back to Urkel.
I mean, listen, I have been doing, Steve's voice for the longest. It was actually, if you look at the early episodes, my character development is actually very similar to the arc of Kramer from Seinfeld. Neither one of us were very pronounced in the beginning, if you notice. And then, you know, as you kind of train the audience, or the audience trains us, you know, you start learning what you want. You notice that the movements become more exaggerated, become a little bit more spastic. I think in the 3rd season, Joe Zwick, one of our directors, he pointed out for me, you know, in one particular episode, he's like, "Oh, you were really overacting right there." It's like, if I'd have gotten a hold of you that we got to pull you back. You know, you have a rotation of directors, so you don't necessarily have continuity in that way. So I can kind of watch the character really just be an extension of me being slightly goofy to becoming this character by the end of the 2nd season, and then by the 3rd season, damn near becoming a human cartoon. And then Stefan settles that down a little bit, and then ultimately you reach the point where you're just hiding the fact that you kind of outgrow the character. But yeah, over time, most characters end up becoming exaggerations of things that were initially very, very, very subtle in the beginning. My voice was never really very deep, to be quite honest, when I was a kid. It took a while for me. Puberty hit me very late. I grew 9 inches, age 15, 16, and 17. So I was, you know, I always like to point out that myself and Darius McCrary, who played Eddie Winslow, we were only 6 months apart in age. So Darius' birthday is in May and mine is in November. And when you watch the show, you would never imagine that. So he was my big brother offset, you know, getting to know girls and learning how to drive. And on set, I was his big brother. And I'm like, do it this way, do it that way, trust me, that's gonna be funny, do it that way, do that. And that was our special bond behind the scenes that not a lot of people saw.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, oh wow, it beeps at us. Look at that, a consummate professional. Yeah, well, I'm gonna ask you one more thing before we go. You said that you mentioned your book, Growing Up Urkel, recently, and you're in podcasts as well. You're on a podcast, I believe, called Everybody Lurks as well. Is there anything else that has come out recently that you would love the audience to keep an ear for, keep an eye out for?
I mean, literally, this audience is so fantastic. You all, one by one, came up and acknowledged pretty much everything I've done or currently doing. Shout out to my Flipside people out there right there. Is that mom's right there?
No, that's my sister.
Oh, that's your sister?
It's very bright lights over
It's
here.
bright lights. All I see is the do-rag. But you know, Flipside is a gig that I'm enjoying so much. Hopefully I get a chance to maybe do a celebrity edition. I think that we're in talks to do that. But you know, other than that, you know, a career in this business is a journey. You know, to you guys, it comes across as us making choices. And you know what? Maybe it is that way in the YouTube world. But if you came from the 90s, there was a lot you were going to have to survive to be sitting here right now talking to you guys in one piece. So when I get a chance to come to a place like Columbus, I do like to let you guys know I am as appreciative of you guys being here as I'm hoping that you are, that I'm here for you, because this is a very pitiful room if nobody's here. And I'm just sitting here by myself. So you make this happen, and all of your stories, they land on me so much. I can hear your yearning for the 90s. I'm actually working on adapting my book to a TV show. I really think, you know, as people keep asking, oh, reboots. See, guys, the trend is very clear. You watch all of these reboots for 1 to 2 episodes, and the ratings fall off a cliff. That is what you're telling us through data, and for whatever reason, those studios just choose to ignore it for the quick pre-sale. I'm different. Now I'm at an age where I do get to choose. So my dream show really has always been to make a show that's set in the 90s, that's allowing you to relive your childhood in all the nuanced ways where you're picking apart the VCRs and the posters in the background. I think that's what you probably would watch weekly to see how well we got it right and authentically. Am I right about that?
We will keep an eye out for that, and hopefully it comes to fruition very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. One more round of applause, everyone. Stand up, come closer to the stage, not on the stage, but closer to the stage. We're all going to take a group photo together.
Yeah, I got the high fiber.
On 3, we're going to say GalaxyCon. Oh, yeah. Squeeze on in, squish it. If you're not past this line, we won't be able to see you. And this line right here. You are so tiny. Get right here. Come on in here.
If you're standing
tiny
right
there.
You're trying to get you
And you can fill in the aisles too. Get to know your neighbor.
That was cool. I got the high fiber.
All right.
It was very cool.
On 3, GalaxyCon. 1, 2, 3.
GalaxyCon!
Okay? All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3.
GalaxyCon!
Perfect. One more round of applause.
Yeah, I saw people doing that at Chili Trainers Q&A last time I went to a convention. So I thought, hey, why not try it with Urkel?
Yeah, awesome. I actually, I recorded it if you want to watch that back on YouTube soon once I put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a, like a little card or something.
I do have one more question for him. I'm just going to ask him, got any cheese? Oh, he already walked off the,
At the bottom, that's the YouTube channel that it's going to be on.
All right, thank you. And I use Twitter also, so I'll follow.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
I mean, I don't use Twitter super much, but
Yeah.
I just thought you got a high five from Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, Jaleel White. I mean, Urkel and Sonic.
Urkel and Son, yep.
Yeah. That was cool.
That was cool.
All right, thank you.